Schultz. I'm part of the White Rose movement. We were founded by Hans Scholl, a medical student at the University of Munich. His sister Sophie, Christoph, Willie, and Alexander. Hans, who was the leader of the group, was a soldier on the Eastern Front and had seen the first-hand Jewish forced laborers and heard of the deportation of large numbers of Poles to the concentration camps. We knew something must be done. We understood that only the military force could end Nazi domination. So we aimed to achieve a renewal from within of the severely wounded German spirit. At great risk, we began to transport mail. With leaflets against the Nazi regime. We advocated the sabotage of the armaments industry. We will not be silent. We are your bad conscience. The White Rose will not leave you in peace. After the German army defeat of Stalingrad in late January of 1943, we began to distribute pamphlets using students and units to rebel. But in the next month, a university janitor saw us and betrayed us to the Gestapo. The regime executed our great leaders Hans and Sophie and Christoph on February 22nd, 1943. Officials also eventually arrested and executed philosopher, Professor Kurt Huber, who had guided our movement and the rest of the White Rose members. At his trial, Huber remained loyal to the 18th century German philosopher Immanuel Kant's ethnical teaching as he concluded his defense with the words of Kant's discipline, Johann Gottlieb Fichte. And thou shalt act as if on thee and the only thy deed depended the fate of all Germany, and thou alone must answer to it.
Jehovah's Witness. We were founded in the American city, Pittsburgh, in 1872 by Charles Taze Russell as the International Bible Study Association. In 1931, our group took the name Jehovah's Witness. By the early 1930s, our group had about 25,000 to 30,000. We believe that we belong to the Jehovah Kingdom and consider all worldly powers unwitting aliens of Satan. We have an international convention and containing witnesses, delegates that come from all over the world. Between the years of 1870 to 1936, we the Jehovah's Witnesses were persecuted. Before the Nazis came to power, individual groups of local Nazis acted outside the law and broke up Bible study meetings and assaulted individual witnesses. We were asked to swear loyalty to the Nazi regime. We refused. We were asked to raise arms in the Hail Hitler salute. We refused. We were asked to vote in elections, but we refused. We were also asked to participate in Nazi rallies and parades, but we refused. When Germany reintroduced universal military service in 1931, we were also asked to enroll, but we refused. Our children suffered under the Nazi regime. In classrooms, teachers ridiculed our children who refused to give the Hail Hitler salute, or sing patriotic songs. Principals found reasons to expel our children from school. Following the lead of adults, classmates shunned or beat our children. On occasion, authorities sought to remove our children from our homes and send them to other schools, orphanage, or private homes to be brought up as good Germans. Soon after Hitler became chancellor, Bavarian authorities issued a ban on International Bible Students Society. During the spring and summer of 1933, many other German jurisdictions followed suit. Twice in 1933, police occupied our offices to confiscate religious literature. Despite official pressure and harassment, we continued to meet and distribute our literature convertedly. At first, our leaders sought to find a way to work with the Nazi government. In October 1934, we sent a letter to the Reich government explaining our core beliefs and our commitment to political neutrality. The letter stated that we have no interest in political affairs, but we are wholly devoted to God's kingdom under Christ his King. The German authorities responded with economic and political harassment. Those of us who continue to missionize or who refuse to participate in Nazi organizations lost our jobs and our employment and social welfare benefits, or were even arrested. In response to Nazi efforts to destroy the group, Jehovah's Witnesses became an island of spiritual resistance to Nazi demand for absolute German commitment. In response to Nazi efforts to destroy the group, the Jehovah's Witnesses became an island of spiritual resistance to Nazi demand for absolute German commitment to the state. The International Society of Jehovah's Witnesses fully and publicly supported the efforts of its brethren in Germany. At an international convention in Lucerne, Switzerland, in September of 1936, we delegates from all over the world passed a resolution to severely condemn the Nazi regime. The international organization also produced literature denouncing the Nazi persecution of Jews, communists, and social democrats, criticizing the rememberation of Germany and Nazification of its schools and universities, and attacking the Nazi assault on organized religion.
Socialism. My husband, Herbert, and myself, Marianne Bond, took upon ourselves to take actions against the National Socialism. We consisted of Jewish communists and members of other left wing. We were named the Workloots. I remember May 18, 1942 as if it were yesterday. Members of the group set fires at the anti-Bolshevik exhibit in Berlin. The Bolshevik exhibit were anti-communist and anti-Semitic. Jews were also arrested. Most Bond Group members were caught after the incident, and 500 Berlin Jews were also arrested. Their punishment wasn't just a slap on the wrist or a warning. They were killed immediately. Sisters, brothers, fathers, mothers, and children all killed. My husband Bond was tortured to death, while the others were arrested, prosecuted in separate trials, and most were executed.
I am Sabine Bonfett. I am a Christian. In 1933, the German population of 60 million consisted of mostly Christians, whom either belonged to the Roman Catholics or were of the Protestant Church. The Jewish population in the country at that time was less than 1%. But not all of us supported the Nazi regime, nor did we all hate the Jewish culture either. Yes, there were some of us who embraced many of the nationalistic and racial aspects of the Nazi ideology. For example, the largest Protestant church in Germany in the 1930s were the German Evangelical Church, comprised of 28 regional churches. During the 1920s, a movement emerged within the German Evangelical Church called the German Christians. The German Christians embraced many of the racial aspects of the Nazi ideology. They supported a Nazified version of Christianity. Then there were some of us Christians. There were some of us Christians who opposed. Christians like myself. The Confessing Church emerged in opposition to the German Christians. Its founding document, the Berlin Confession of Faith, declared that the Church's alliance was to God, not Hitler. One of our famous leaders was my brother, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who was executed in Auschwitz to his role in the conspiracy to overthrow the Nazis. He was only standing up for what he believed in. There was also Pastor Martin, a close friend of my brother, who spent 7 years in a concentration camp for his criticisms of Hitler. Before 1933, the Saxon bishops prohibited Catholics in their diocese from joining the Nazi Party, but was dropped after Hitler March 23, 1933 speech. The Century Party was dissolved as part of signing of a 1933 contract between the Vatican and Nazi governmental representatives, and several of its leaders were murdered in the Rome Purge in July 1933.